Lesson 9, Part 4, Genitive Absolutes. Most participles that come at the beginning of a sentence describe the subject. These participles are in the nominative. Other participles describe other words in the sentence and are in the same case as that word. However, it is possible for a participle to describe a word that is not doing anything else in the sentence grammatically. An absolute phrase is a phrase that is not grammatically related to the rest of the sentence. In Greek, a genitive absolute is a participle in the genitive case that describes a noun or pronoun in the genitive case that is doing nothing else in the sentence. Now, you can have a genitive phrase, a genitive participle that's describing a genitive that's maybe being possessive or maybe being an object of a preposition. But these ones, the genitive noun that the phrase is describing has nothing to do with the rest of the sentence. Now, it does have something to do with the context of what is being said in the larger context, but in that particular sentence, that particular word is not grammatically related. Normally, it's going to be sort of the case when, like, this person is doing this, and while that random person over there is doing that thing, now these people over here are doing this thing, and that random person at the beginning is not grammatically related to the rest of the sentence, but it's helping to tell us like when this other action is happening is normally how these work. Now, these normally show up at the beginning of a sentence. Now, we actually have these in English, but they're called nominative absolutes in English. They're genitive absolutes in Greek. They are the same thing, though, just the case is different. So his friend having hurt him, he decided to leave. Now, you may be looking at this and going, I've never seen a sentence like that before. You probably have, but you just didn't pay attention to it. They are not that common, though. They're a form of English that has been dropping out of usage over the last, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 years. So they're not very common to hear anymore, but they are a perfectly functional grammatical sentence or grammatical structure. You may learn, most grammar courses teach them to students sometime during junior high or high school. So you may run into them in English grammar class soon and go, oh, that's what we were talking about, or you may have just learned them. But this is an English nominative absolute. Now, if you'll notice, friend is not related to anything in this sentence. He is not the friend here. His friend having hurt him, I could say Mark's friend having hurt Mark. Mark decided to leave. The friend is not Mark. Mark is the one who's doing the leaving. Friend is not related to anything in a sentence. If you're good at diagramming, you might look at this and go, where am I supposed to diagram friend? It actually doesn't even connect to he decided to leave, because friend is not related to he or decided or to leave. It's giving the context for why he decided to leave. This whole thing is sort of functioning as a why, or giving the time when he decided to leave after his friend hurt him, but it's not grammatically related. The having hurt him is the actual participle phrase, and friend is the absolute that's at the beginning. In Greek, friend would be in genitive. Having hurt him would also be in genitive, describing friend. The door being open, we came inside. Door is not grammatically related to we or came or inside. In these sentences, the noun of the absolute, friend and door, is not doing anything else in the sentence, but the whole phrase is giving helpful information to the why the action of the main verb happened. Since this structure is very uncommon in English, it's often better to translate these as clauses beginning with for a present participle and after for an aorist participle. So we could say, after his friend hurt him, he decided to leave. But in English, that would now make that a clause, and it would be grammatically related to the sentence. But it's a fine way of translating it. Or, while the door was open, we came inside. That can also work, though it changes it from a reason to giving a time period, which is not entirely incorrect, but isn't entirely correct either. So after his friend hurt him, he decided to leave. We just talked about that. Examples in Greek. So ton anthropon, elphanton auto, Iesus edidaxe tous mathetas autou. So the men having come to him, Jesus taught his disciples. We have Jesus taught the disciples of him, or Jesus taught his disciples. These men are completely unrelated, other than the fact of giving some kind of extra information about Jesus teaching his disciples. So the men having come to him, Jesus taught. Taught is in the past tense. Elphanton is aorist, so this happened before this did, so we need to make sure that we bring that across, which is why we have having come instead of the men coming to him. That would be incorrect. We could also change it around, make it a clause in English. After the men came to him, Jesus taught his disciples. With that after there, we've got the time period going correctly. Another example, to anthropou erkomenu auto Iesu lalese to lao. The man coming to him, Jesus was speaking to the people. Now this one's a little unclear in English this way, but this is grammatically correct. So Jesus was speaking to the people. This is in a past tense. Erkomenu is in the present, so we want those to be simultaneous. The man coming to him, Jesus was speaking to the people. Again, that does sound a little bit weird, which is why it's a little bit better to put it with a while. While the man was coming to him, Jesus was speaking to the people. So maybe this was, a man that needs to be healed, or one of the apostles is coming to Jesus. While he's in the process of coming, Jesus is currently speaking to the people. Now, note, the phrase can come in any order. All of these mean exactly the same thing. So you can see it with the noun first and then the participle and then its direct object. You can have the participle and then the genitive noun and then this is an indirect object of that verb. You can have the verb and then its indirect object and then the genitive that describes. You can have the indirect object and then the participle and then the noun that it describes. Now, you're normally going to see it in this first structure, or occasionally in probably this third one would be the next common, or maybe the second one. This third one is weird, just throwing out at the beginning there. But remember, it's Greek. You can put it in just about any order. If there's a definite article, it is going to go in front of that genitive, though. So you'll notice this is sort of like a predicative structure. There's no definite article right in front of the participle. That will be a key indicator here. It'll always be that predicative kind of structure. Now, each of these sentences has a slightly different emphasis, but they all mean the same thing and should all be translated the same way. Summary: an absolute phrase is a phrase that is not grammatically related to the rest of the sentence. And a genitive absolute is a participle in the genitive case that describes a noun or pronoun in the genitive case that is doing nothing else in the sentence.